and welcome to another video of the series Important Programming Questions to Know for Any Software Profile Interview. Now, here we are going to discuss the pictorial algorithm and the code for the Java program to print the first 6 digits of the Fibonacci series. Now, before we go ahead, one might question that since there are so many resources available on the internet that will give you the code to print the any digits, any number of digits of Fibonacci series. So why do I need to watch your video? Which is a valid question. So I'll give you a very simple answer to this. You will find the code at a lot of places, but nobody talks about helping you to learn or develop the ability to solve a programming problem, right? So my intent, my aim here is to help you in creating the ability, in creating the mindset, the thought process of solving a programming question, right? And how do you do that? When you have a problem, first you think about the algorithmic solution to it before actually coding, right? So I'll be showing you the pictorial algorithm first. I mean, how actually it is going to look in the iterations or in the loops. And once that is done, then after that, I'm going to go ahead and show you the code, right? So all in all, the intent here is to help you develop the ability to solve any programming question for that matter, right? So watch the video at peace. Do not worry. If you have any questions at any point of time, feel free to comment. We promise to get back to you within 24 hours, right? And one more thing, I'll be sharing the code of this particular program in the description. So do not hassle about copying the code as the video is going on. No, just watch it at peace and then have a look at the code later on. Cool. So let's start. So we are going to go ahead and print the first 6 digits of a Fibonacci series. Right now, before actually going ahead and looking at what all is this, right? Let me tell you what a Fibonacci series is, because of course it is very important to know, right? So that what you see on the screen right now here, that is here till here. Let me use another cursor or a pen for you for a better understanding. What you see here right now, which I'm encircling, that is what a Fibonacci series is. Now, what is so special about this series, you might question. The answer, the very simple answer is that do you observe the number, let's say 3, right? So 3 is a sum of 1 and 2, right? Do you observe the number 1? It is a sum of the numbers 0 and 1. Do you observe the number 5? It is a sum of number 2 and 3. All in all, if we have to make this definition generic, we would say that every number or any number is a sum of the previous two numbers except for the first two. Why? Because you have to have at least two numbers to make a sum, right? This is very logical, common sense. So that is why, except for the first two numbers, which is the default, which is something that we'll give by default in the code as well, any number you see will be a sum of the previous two numbers. That is what a Fibonacci series is, right? Now, of course, I'll go ahead and I'll print it in an algorithmic in a sequential manner. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this Fibonacci in front of you for now because you have to understand it, right? So let's start. Now, let's forget variables, forget everything for now. Just imagine that these are three buckets: bucket number A, bucket number B, and bucket number C, right? And we will use these iterations, we'll run these iterations using these buckets, right? So A bucket has the value 0 and B bucket has the value 1. As I told you that the first two numbers, that is 0 and 1 in the Fibonacci series, are to be given by default, they have to be present, right? So we give them as the programmer or as the user, right? So this has the number by default, right? So now let's start with the iteration. And when I say iteration, I mean the first cycle of the loop. We are going to use for loop, and that is what is we are going to see in the code. But for now, I'm going to show you the algorithm in a in an iteration manner, that is one after the other, and then print it out simultaneously, right? So in iteration number 1 for now, which is this one, first of all, we'll go ahead and see the first step that says print value of A. Very simple. What is the value of A right now? What is A holding? What is bucket A holding? It is holding number 0, right? So I'll go ahead and I'll print it as 0. Done. Now it says the first step of these three steps says C will be equals to A plus B. Very simple. What is A? A is 0. What is B? It's 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. So what is C? C is 1. Perfect, right? Now, what in the second thing, or in the second step, it says that A is equals to B. So what it asks me to do is that transfer the value which is in B bucket into A bucket. So what I'll do is I'll take this number and I'll paste it somewhere here, right? And by the default, or by the virtue of coding, if I am transferring the value from one bucket to another, or from one variable to another, the existing value vanishes and it goes somewhere in the system, right? So for now, don't focus on this, just focus on the number 1 which got transferred from B to A. So now A is 1. And now it says whatever is the value is in C, you transfer it to B, right? So C is holding the value 1, and now it says the value of 1 should be transferred from C to B. So from C variable or C bucket, put it into B. Again, it's a variable, but for better understanding, we are using the term bucket, right? So now A is 1, B is 1, and C is of course 1, right? So now I'll go into, this is the first iteration, and we are going to repeat this iteration again and again, right? Now we are going to go in the second iteration, right? So let me go ahead and let me show you the second iteration. It says again, same steps in loops. The steps repeat, just the sequence increases or decreases, right? So it says print value of A. Now what is the value of A? It is 1, right? So I think we are loosely approaching there, right? 0 and 1. And now it says C is equals to A plus B. So currently, what is the value of A and B? It is 1 and 1. So 1 plus 1 makes it 2. Correct? And the next step says that A is equals to B. That is, whatever the value is in B, move it to A. Right? So I'll move the value of B into A. Done? Now the value of A is 1. And now it says move the value of C into B. So C is 2. So what I'll do is I'll take the value 2, which is this, which is in C right now, right? So let me go ahead and let me take this value in C. So it says move the value of C into B. So I'll move C into B, right? So now what is A and now what is B? So A is basically, it's 1 and B is now 2. So now let's go into the third iteration or the third cycle of the loop. So again, the same step, print value of A. What is the value of A? It is again 1. So I'll go ahead and I'll simply write it down. I am doing the same thing as the system will do. It will print it in the same manner in the loop, one by one. 0, 1, 1, right? Now let me go into iteration number 4. Or sorry, I'll show you the math behind it. I'm so sorry, I forgot. So you have printed the value of A, which is 1, right? Now let's look at the math. These 3 steps again. The first step says C is equals to A plus B, right? So what is the value of A right now? It is 1. What is the value of B? It is 2. So 1 plus 2 is equals to 3. So the value of C is right now, it's 3. Let me put it here for better reference. And now in the next step, it says A is equals to B. That means whatever the value of B, put it into A. So B was originally 2. So now this 2 will move into A, which makes A equals to 2, right? And B is equals to C, which says move the value of C into B. So C is 3, I'll move it into B, which makes it 2 and 3. Third iteration is complete, right? Now let me go into the fourth iteration, which says again the same steps. It says first print the value of A. What is the value of A? Right now at this point the value is 2. Got it? So I'll make it as 2. Cool. Now again the same math. C is equals to A plus B. Currently A is 2, B is 3, so 2 plus 3 is 5. So now C is 5. So let me go ahead and the beauty is that what we are doing right now, it is the same steps that the system is going to follow, right? It is going to change the variables, values, print it sequentially in the loop, one by one manner, right? So this is done. Cool. Now A is equals to B, which means move the value of B into A, which has become very boring till now. But again, moving the value of B into A, which is 3, 2 vanishes from here, and it says move the value of C into B, which says 5 into move 5 from C into B. So now A is 3, B is 5. Now let's go into the last iteration of the loop, which says again print value of A. Print value of A is currently 3. right? A is currently 3. And I'm sorry, it is not it is not going to be the last iteration. I'm so sorry. It is basically going to be, pardon me for this. Uh, yeah, just ignore this for now. So it is going to be basically I'm so sorry for this. Yeah, we are going to have to we are going to need to have one more iteration, right? So currently A is 3 and B is 5, and we have 0 1 1 2 3, the first 5 digits. Now we have to have the last digit, right? So let me go ahead and let me write down the the last iteration, right? So I will put it as let me iteration number 6, right? Oh, I'm so sorry. Iteration number 6, right? So let me move it here. And here it says print value of A. And you know what? I'm not going to do the further calculations for you because it is boring. Number one. Number two, it is not required because now we have the value of A as 5, right? Because, as per the current math, C is equals to A plus B, that is 3 plus 5, 3 plus 5, which is 8. So C is currently 8, right? So it becomes 8 now, and A is equals to B, that is A makes it 5. So move the value of 5 from B into A, so it becomes 5, and then move the value of C into B, which becomes 8. So now A is equals to 5, B is equals to 8, right? So print the value of A. Currently the value of A is 5, so I will go ahead and I will write it down as 5. You have the Fibonacci series in front of you. That is all. That is how you understand the pictorial algorithm. And now once you have this in your mind, even if I ask you the code later on, you'll be able to easily write it down. At least that's what I'm assuming, right? So now let's go into IntelliJ and let's actually code it and see the result of it. So you have this algorithm in front of you, and honestly, since we have detailed these algorithms, these steps in so much detail, I'm not going to uh, explain them. You can have a look at these steps. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to clearly go and show you the code, write down the code. So if you remember, we had 3 buckets, right? And what are those buckets? Those buckets are nothing but they are actually, what are they? They're actually variables, right? So this is A, B, and C. So I'm going to do the same thing in the code manner. That is, I'm going to initiate these variables, which is int A is equals to 0, as I told you. Sorry, 0, as I told you at the very start. B is equals to 1, and C is equals to nothing, right? I think this is clear till now because we have seen the algorithm in detail. Cool. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll initiate a loop per se, right? So do you see the for loop? Because we discussed we are going to implement a loop. We are going to implement it in a recursive method, right? So I am going to go ahead and I'll start it with 1. Int I is equals to 1. I is less than or equals to 8. And now, since I have told you everything in detail, I've explained you everything. My question to you is, and I want you to answer it in the comments, why did I put it as I equals to 1 and I is less than equals to 8? Rather, I want the explanation for both. I is equals to 1 and I is equals to 8. Give me the logic. Why did I start the loop from 1 and why did I end it to something less than 8, not equal to 8? Okay? So I want you to tell me that thing. Now let me go ahead and let me uh, do the same thing. So if you see the algorithm or if you remember the iteration, let me pick any iteration. It's doing the same thing, right? So I'll pick iteration number 3. It says C is equals to A plus B, A is equals to B, B is equals to C. I'm going to go ahead and write the same code here without much explanation because that is not required. But before that, I need to print it, right? Because of course we are printing the value of A everywhere. See, print value of A, right? So of course, following the Java syntax, we are going to print it as S out. That is again a tip for you. I'll do it again. If you want to write down System.out.println, which is the syntax for printing anything in Java, and you find it very boring and you're lazy like me to print everything, to write down this complete line, just do one thing, type S out, press enter, and it will print it automatically for you, right? So now I'll go ahead and I'll write it down as, and we were printing the value of A, right? So let me go ahead and let me show it to you how we are going to write it. We are going to write it in the format which says just print the value of a along with some spaces, of course, right? This is done. And if you remember the iteration that I did show you on the screen, it says C is equals to A plus B, A is equals to B, and B is equals to C. Done. I hope that this up till now is clear to you. I did not explain it again because I don't want to bore you with the details. We have seen the pictorial algorithm in detail. I'm just pasting that from here. So you understand what the intent here is, that my intent is to help you understand and develop an intellect to visualize an algorithm pictorially and then write it down, then code it out, right? So it's done. Now let me go ahead and let me print it out for you. And again, we'll wait for a fraction of seconds, and oh, it says illegal exception. Now let's see what it is. It says illegal expression on the so and so line. So of course we have done some very a very careless mistake, which is C is equals to this, which is C is equals to nothing. We have not initiated to anything, right? So I'll just remove equals to. My bad for that. Even you are bound to make such silly mistakes. But yeah, nevertheless, let's run it again. It runs, it takes some time, and it prints you the Fibonacci series in the console. If you see 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, right? It printed one more thing, and that is why I asked you that therein we had only first six digits, that is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, but herein I have one more, which is 8. I want you to tell that if you want me to print only the first six digits, what should I put here in I is less than equals to what? I am going to ask you the logic behind this and what should I put here in the comments. I find that doing these activities actually involve you in the system, involve you in the program. So please let me know in the comments what you feel about it, and if you do, uh, I mean, whatever you say, the next topic of your choice, I'll go ahead and create a video. Cool. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this long video, but a very insightful video helps you, and you invested this time, and you go back with some intellect, and the next time you get a problem, you are able to solve it at your own. Cool. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Thank you.